Assimilate the hellfire on him, imperial flame. Xiao Yan's voice echoed through the heavens and earth. As the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor rapidly descended, dozens of black light spots appeared on his body. These black spots spread across him, forming intricate veins. Buzz. As the black veins formed, dozens of brilliant imperial flames erupted from the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor's body. The flames surged with astonishing speed, enveloping his massive form, which spanned millions of feet. Under the covering of these imperial flames, the dark blue hellfire on the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor's body began to undergo a strange transformation. The imperial flames, like ink dropped into water, spread rapidly, and wherever they passed, the hellfire was dyed in brilliant colors. But only the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor knew that this was no ordinary stain. It was an intrusion into the very essence of the flames. It was a process of assimilation. You bastard! What have you done? The evil-swallowing heavenly emperor became even more frantic upon witnessing the strange changes occurring to his own body. He realized that if this continued, his power would be completely exhausted in less than a minute, perhaps even in half that time. Realizing this, he raised his massive hand and immediately activated the Black Great Seal, intending to suppress Xiao Yan with all his remaining strength. Boom! The million-foot-wide, perfectly smooth Great Seal descended like the sky itself, carrying enough force to annihilate everything within a million-mile radius. However, just as the Great Seal was about to land, it suddenly froze midair, and the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor's expression changed drastically. Crack! Crack! Countless cracks spread across the surface of the Black Great Seal. In less than 10 breaths, the cracks covered the entire seal. The evil-swallowing heavenly emperor, horrified by this sight, realized that his power had been depleted to its limit. The hellfire had burned away his evil spirit, temporarily granting him strength that surpassed his peak. But now, with the disappearance of the hellfire, the consequences were inevitable. The evil-swallowing heavenly emperor's power had vanished, entirely assimilated by the imperial flame. There was still half a minute left before the formation was activated. You bastard! The evil-swallowing heavenly emperor, now devoid of all his evil power and completely enveloped by the imperial flame, lost all reason. He used the last of his physical strength and, in a fit of rage, charged at Xiao Yan, who was seated in front of him. At the same time, a destructive wave of energy surged within him. Because Xiao Yan had used the flame transformation technique to convert the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor's hellfire into imperial flames, the last remnant of his evil spirit had not been completely consumed. Now, the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor was preparing to detonate this fragment of his spirit. Less than 10 breaths remained before the formation was activated. As the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor charged toward Xiao Yan purely with his physical strength, Xiao Yan, sitting calmly, paid no attention to the attack. He simply stood up slowly. The towering form of the destruction flame physique quickly shrank back to its original size. Now back to his original state, Xiao Yan waved his hand. The imperial flames that had enveloped the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor surged outward and transformed into a massive imperial flame dragon, millions of feet long, surrounding the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor. With 8 breaths left, roar! The colossal imperial flame dragon wrapped around the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor, binding him and preventing him from getting any closer to Xiao Yan. Trapped several million feet away, the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor's face twisted with terror as he stared at Xiao Yan. He heard a calm and decisive voice from Xiao Yan. Explode! The words echoed, and the imperial flame dragon that bound the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor radiated a terrifying destructive wave. Then, a dazzling burst of light engulfed the entire black box space, and the last thing visible was a brilliant pillar of flame piercing through the entire space. The explosion of the dragon of imperial flame, combined with the self-detonation of the soul fragments of the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor, unleashed a force powerful enough to reach the upper heavenly supreme. The terrifying shockwave that spread out shattered the black space within a radius of nearly 10 million miles, even causing the moon and stars in the sky above to collapse like a broken mirror. From that moment on, the aura of the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor completely vanished within this black box space. Less than 3 breaths of time remained. Bang! A loud cracking sound echoed throughout the black box space. This space had been constructed with the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor as its center, and his fall caused the entire space to collapse. Boom! Boom! The vast black box space, spanning tens of millions of miles, collapsed as it lost the support of the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor. Meanwhile, Xiao, not far from the epicenter of the explosion, rushed towards the still unsettled core of the explosion. There, terrifying heat waves mixed with the rolling imperial flames continued to spread. However, as Xiao passed through, all the fire energy became incredibly docile, and the imperial flames that had swept over millions of miles quickly gathered around him. At the same time, outside this collapsing black box space, the massive teleportation array that had once covered the entire great domain of alchemical spirits began to disintegrate, its destruction triggered by the premature demise of the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor. This breakdown was like a chain reaction, each link triggering the next, growing faster and more expansive. Meanwhile, within the other 4 black box spaces, battles still raged on, but the other emperors and white evil had sensed the failure of the formation. It was only a matter of time. Boom! The black box space finally shattered, revealing a blinding light of imperial flame. The glow of the imperial flame shrank, and in the end, what emerged was a figure in black robes. It was Xiao, who had completely dispelled his destruction flame physique. In his hand was a pulsating imperial flame, radiating violent energy like a heartbeat. Since the beginning of the battle, Xiao had been trying to force the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor to use hellfire, as he wanted to attempt something. Whether this succeeds or not depends on this move. Xiao murmured, staring at the imperial flame in his hand. Then, an unfamiliar cultivation technique was activated once again. The flame transformation chapter, flame reversion. As Xiao activated the flame transformation chapter he had obtained from the Lesser Thousand Worlds, the imperial flame in his palm displayed a thrilling transformation. The once brilliant flames gradually turned into a ghostly blue hue, identical to the hellfire. Xiao, holding the flame, knew this was not merely a change in color. It was a fundamental transformation in the essence of the fire. In other words, the flame in his hand was now genuine hellfire. Hellfire was known as an uncontrollable, unrefinable fire. Anyone who came into contact with it would experience irreversible soul burning. This burning was all-encompassing and unbreakable. It was said that once, someone attempted to refine hellfire, only to be consumed and killed by it. And that person was a true heavenly supreme. I actually succeeded, Xiao exclaimed, staring at the hellfire in his hand. The waves emanating from it were unmistakable. The intensity was comparable to the 10th position on the 100 million flames ranking. Even the imperial flame Xiao controlled was slightly weaker. Had the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor wielded this hellfire in battle, Xiao would likely have been unable to defeat him in less than 10 minutes. However, even with such power, the evil-swallowing heavenly emperor could only use hellfire to ignite his own soul. Xiao flipped his hand, and the hellfire was immediately sealed away. While he hadn't yet refined it, his control over it was as effortless as his command of the imperial flame. I wonder how the others are faring, Xiao murmured, glancing at the other 4 black box spaces. After saying this, Xiao shot towards one of the massive black box spaces ahead. That space contained Long Yuan and a lower emperor of the extraterritorial evil clan. However, just as Xiao was about to dart out, a sudden, terrifying wave of energy entered his perception range, causing his expression to shift slightly. He directed his gaze toward the source of the ominous energy, but it did not come from one of the 4 black box spaces. Instead, it came from directly above him, from the sky. A beam of energy, descending from an unknown height in the heavens, caught Xiao attention, and in that instant, his expression changed drastically. Boom! The terrifying fluctuations caused the entire great domain of alchemical spirits to shake violently. A massive thunderbolt, millions of miles long, carrying energy so powerful that even upper heavenly supremes would fear it, descended from the sky in the form of heavenly punishment. Beneath the thunderbolt was a black box space. That was the black box space where Long Yuan and a lower heavenly emperor were located. Not good. Upon seeing the descending thunderbolt, Xiao Yin knew that such a terrifying force could not be wielded by Long Yuan. This meant the attack came from someone outside the black box space. Whoosh! As the thunderbolt neared the black box space, less than 100,000 miles away, Xiao Yin activated his destruction flame physique once again. His figure soared through the sky, charging toward the black box space. However, the speed of the thunderbolt was far too fast. Even though he was moving at full speed, Xiao Yin knew he wouldn't catch up in time. There was only one option left. Boom! The overwhelming Emperor flame surged from within Xiao Yin, condensing into the Eternal Ruler. The Eternal Ruler formed almost instantaneously, but the next moment, Xiao Yin hurled it like a spear with all his strength. Whoosh! The spear he threw shot forward at a speed that could tear through space, aiming directly at the thunderbolt. However, his intention was not to block it, but to intercept it just as it was about to strike the black box space, only a few thousand miles away. The spear struck the middle of the thunderbolt. Bang! The Eternal Ruler cleaved the thunderbolt in half, reducing the power that would have fallen upon the black box space to less than half. Yet, even that small portion of power was still extremely terrifying. When it landed on the black box space, the horrifying force engulfed the space entirely, and the energy finally erupted. Boom! The overwhelming power swept through the area, causing the black box space where Long Yuan was located to crack open with countless fissures. When the thunderbolt's energy dissipated completely, the entire black box space shattered, revealing Long Yuan and the lower heavenly emperor, who were both completely unaware of what had happened. Had the full force of that energy descended, it wouldn't have just shattered the black box space. It would have seriously injured both Long Yuan and the lower heavenly emperor. However, the black box space itself was linked to the lower heavenly emperor. As he stood there, helpless and watching the space shatter, a backlash erupted from his body, severely wounding him. Whoosh! At the moment the lower heavenly emperor was gravely wounded, Long Yuan seized the opportunity. Not caring who had shattered the black box space, he surged forward, palm raised. A gigantic, million-mile-long purple-golden dragon claw, brimming with destructive power, slammed into the lower heavenly emperor. Bang! The blow sent the lower heavenly emperor flying, like a bird with broken wings, crashing into the black water ocean below, creating a massive rift. With the strike landing successfully, Long Yuan prepared to strike again and deliver a final, devastating blow to the lower heavenly emperor. However, just as Long Yuan was about to launch his next attack, a hand landed on his shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. Turning, he saw that it was Xiao Yin who had restrained him. You? Long Yuan was surprised to see Xiao Yin. He thought his battle was still ongoing, but seeing Xiao Yin's serious expression, Long Yuan couldn't help but wonder if Xiao Yin had already finished his fight. Senior Long Yuan, something's not right. Be careful, Xiao Yin said to him, then turned his gaze to the lower heavenly emperor, who had been sent flying. What they saw was truly bizarre. The lower heavenly emperor's head had vanished from his body. The headless body, lifeless, stood there in complete stillness. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yin and Long Yuan both sucked in a cold breath, their gazes simultaneously turning towards the horizon not far ahead. In the space there, a figure in a black robe slowly walked out. The man appeared to be in his 40s, strikingly handsome, but his jet-black eyes emitted an aura of indifference, as if nothing in the world mattered to him. The black-robed man held a black head in his hand, the very head of the fallen heavenly emperor from earlier. At this moment, the head still had some consciousness. However, under the watchful eyes of Xiao Yin and Long Yuan, the black-robed man clenched his palm, and a terrifying force directly crushed the head of the fallen heavenly emperor as if it were a fragile egg. Whoosh! The black-robed man casually wiped away a fallen heavenly emperor from existence. From the look in his eyes, it was clear that he treated this as an ordinary task. This was the reason Xiao Yin and Long Yuan felt a shiver down their spines. They knew that the black-robed man was no ordinary individual, and his ruthlessness had already been demonstrated. As Xiao Yin and Long Yuan watched the black-robed man, the latter slightly shifted his gaze, not looking at Long Yuan, but at Xiao Yin. The two exchanged a sharp look, and the dark clouds in the sky began to swirl. "You are Xiao Yin?" The black-robed man asked indifferently, his voice calm. As his words fell, there was a sudden boom. Boom, boom, boom. Three massive roars rang out simultaneously throughout the Danling world, and Long Yuan, standing behind Xiao Yin, was horrified to see three black boxes in the distance simultaneously shatter. Crash! The three shattered black boxes turned into countless fragmented black pieces, scattering from the sky. In one of the black boxes, the old farmer who had been suppressing Bai Xie saw the destruction of the black box, his expression turning serious. However, Bai Xie's face was as pale as death. In another shattered black box, Tai Su Sheng Yin and Tai Peng were rapidly retreating. Someone had suddenly joined the battlefield. As Tai Peng and Tai Su Sheng Yin fell back, a massive black shadow streaked across the sky, appearing above the Sword Monarch. It was a towering Futu Divine Tower, over 10,000 zhang tall. What? Upon seeing the massive Futu Divine Tower above his head, the Sword Monarch's expression changed drastically. He immediately attempted to retreat, but he was still one step too slow. Just as he prepared to pull back, the Futu Divine Tower unleashed waves of golden dragon-like refining flames that howled toward him, completely blocking all his escape routes. Damn it! The Sword Monarch cursed angrily, then swung his black long sword. However, the roaring golden dragon flames formed an impenetrable wall. No matter how hard he swung the sword, he could only shake the fiery barrier without breaking it. Boom! As the massive Futu Divine Tower enveloped the Sword Monarch, the only sound coming from him was a series of frantic roars. When the Futu Divine Tower fully engulfed the Sword Monarch, a sound of air being torn apart followed, and an old man appeared in front of the tower. With a wave of his sleeve, the Futu Divine Tower immediately shrank and landed in the old man's hand, where it was stowed away. From a distance, Tai Peng and Tai Su Sheng Yin saw this scene and were struck with awe. This old man was a genuine powerhouse, comparable to the upper heavenly supreme. Although his strength had been weakened during the recent battle, being able to suppress him so easily was absurd. This elder's power was likely close to the perfected heavenly supreme, and the appearance of the Futu Divine Tower signified his identity. He was a super powerhouse of the Futu Divine clan. At the same time, in another shattered black box, a middle-aged man who had been fighting Danyu suddenly appeared and suppressed him. The middle-aged man wielded an ancient long sword that glowed with dark red light. Danyu, initially unaware of the identity of the new arrival, soon recognized the weapon in the man's hand. It was the supreme divine sword of the Mixed Divine Clan. Mixed Divine Sword, a super powerhouse of the Mixed Divine Clan. In that instant, the entire world seemed to split apart, yet there was a chaotic undertone to it. Shortly after, disorder followed. When Danyu came to his senses, he realized that the figure of the central heavenly emperor was no longer present, nor could he feel his aura. The place where the central heavenly emperor had been was now gone, along with the space itself, leaving behind nothing but chaotic void. Just like that, a central heavenly emperor vanished from the world. The Mixed Divine Sword was said to be the strongest divine sword in the Great Thousand Worlds, both ancient and modern. While Danyu had heard of its power, this was the first time he was witnessing it firsthand. In the span of just a few breaths, two central heavenly emperors and one lower heavenly emperor were slaughtered like dogs by these experts from the primordial divine clan. Meanwhile, the old farmer's expression grew solemn as he watched an elderly figure appear before him. His eyes narrowed slightly, for this old man was none other than the Grand Elder of the Futu Divine Clan, and also the previous clan leader, the only one who had surpassed all others 1,000 years ago. The Qingyan Divine Court. Hadn't Qingyan Qian tricked him into leaving? How could he be here? Where is Qingyan Jing? The Grand Elder of the Futu Divine Clan asked the old farmer. Huff the old farmer took a deep breath before responding, I don't know, and I have no obligation to answer you. We've never interfered in the internal matters of your 4 great clans. Never interfered, huh? The Grand Elder's voice grew low and ominous as he muttered, "What a fine stance on non-interference." As the Grand Elder spoke with the old farmer, Xiao, who was standing not far away, was filled with an unbearable sense of discomfort. The murderous intent that filled the air was so thick that it almost suffocated him. He knew that the person before him was the former clan leader of the Futu Divine Clan, and if he were at full strength, he wouldn't fear him. But right now, he was barely at half his full power.